am I doing? What am I doing? Messing about too much. Why can't I keep that on top? Back to this, what are we on? What's the image history like? The HFR is a lot better now that I reset the... Didn't reset anything, I did another autofocus. After a bit of messing about with things. This now. Need to get back to that. Right. It's the first exposure of red done. Still looks quite good. So yeah, tonight imaging the Embryo Nebula. It's a target I've never looked at before. And on Stellarium it looks quite interesting, some different colours. Sitting roughly about, what's that, 55 degrees, 56 degrees. Not overly high in the sky, but not too bad. In fact, when does it go over the meridian? Yeah, I've got a wee while to go yet. Sitting in the sort of southeastern sky there now. Considering it's 1:45 in the morning. I was saying the sky's still looking really dark and cloud free, but I've not actually looked out for a while. I'm going to assume it is. I could actually pop my head out the door just to double check that there's no clouds about. In fact, I'll do that then now. I've been caught out before. Yeah, it's still pretty dark outside. Well, it's always going to be dark, but there's not a lot of clouds. It's maybe slightly foggy. It's not quite as inky black as it was before, but the images coming through are still looking okay. Just keep an eye on the cloud. All we can really do is just sit back there now and just watch these coming through. The guidance not looking too bad. The stars are reasonably round. Yeah, not looking too bad. Not an awful lot else to be doing there now. Looks good in the observatory. Just make sure there's no cats climbing about or anything. I've got 4 cats here, so we've got 4 cats, and they're actually quite good for not going inside the observatory when the roof's open, but you can never tell. The last thing you want to see is a cat sitting on top of the telescope, or plodding about and pawing at cables and whatnot. But yeah, generally they're pretty good. Pretty good for keeping away. Don't know why, because they get into everything else. Why they tend to keep out the observatories beyond me. It's not like them. So the plan is to do 2 hours on the Embryo Nebula. That'll take me up to about 3 in the morning, then I'll probably be getting packed up and get off to bed for a wee bit. It's supposed to be good weather tomorrow, and I wouldn't mind getting up at a reasonable time. I've got more work to do in the observatory. I'm desperately trying to get the roof finished, get it all sealed properly, and then it's so much easier to use. I can just swish the roof back and it's ready to go, rather than at the moment I've got a tarp on top of it to protect it now. So I've got a little bit more cladding to do in the roof, and then put seals in and put some trim on, and that will be watertight from the top down and windtight, and then it's just odds and ends to do to finish it off. But this was quite an unexpected clear night. It wasn't really forecast for a clear night tonight until a bit later on. It was shown clear skies from 4 in the morning, then 3, then it moved to 2. And then I looked out about 8 o'clock or so, and the sky had cleared really nicely, so just opened the roof back, and yeah, let that acclimatise for an hour, and yeah, here we are, up and running. So I've done 2 hours on the propeller galaxy, and then I moved on to the Embryo Nebula. Can have a look at the propeller galaxy actually. Do you know what? So yeah, that's what I was imaging earlier tonight. It's quite small, so once I come to stack the frames and process it, I'll need to crop it in a little bit. Not too much though, because the stars will end up just bloated and but yeah, something different. We'll see how that turns out once it's all stacked together. So I've got 2 hours of data on that, on the propeller galaxy, and then back to what we're doing tonight. So yeah, 2 objects in the sky that I've never imaged before, so good to do something different. And doing a live stream as well. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually done a live stream or even made YouTube videos. It's been a long summer with no astrophotography. Where I am this far north, I really have to stop imaging about the end of April, and generally 8 weeks either side of midsummer. The skies are just too clear at night. There's just not enough dark skies to bother. So I've generally got 4 months of no astrophotography at all during the summer. So we've got May, June, July, August, and usually start again September. But so far this has been the first clear night we've had since the end of summer. So, and there's nothing else on the horizon. The forecast for next week's back to rain and cloud and there's no low pressure coming over, so it's just bad weather again. Generally up here where I am, it's usually the start of the year I tend to get the best of the weather for astrophotography. Certainly maybe February, March, April can be the best months. Doesn't leave much of a window really, and then generally then, well, we're back into summer again, I've got to stop, so it was the whole reason for building an observatory, that I could try and get as much telescope time as possible in between the clouds of the rain or the bad weather, and I could be up and imaging within 10 minutes really, opening the roof and just switching the computer on and connecting everything, and away we go. And if it does get cloudy or start to rain, I can just park the scope, shut the roof over, and maybe just hold off for an hour or so until it clears and back again. That's the plan anyway, we'll see how it goes. It can only be better than having to set up the rig every night and then take it all down the early hours of the morning. Then if it does happen to rain or whatever, end up putting big plastic bags over it all and hoping it doesn't get too windy and blow things over during the night. So yeah, I feel a bit safer that it's oh, excuse me, just yawning away there, getting tired. So yeah, I feel a bit safer that all the equipment's in a good sturdy shed. Observatory anyway. Just rambling on, I'm getting really sleepy. It's been a hard week at work, and I say I'm planning to get up quite early tomorrow, so just try to get as much imaging time in as possible now. So what's this, 2 o'clock coming up? Yeah, not be long and we'll be halfway through. Four, 5, yeah. The guidance going up and down a little bit, but nothing too severe the now. It dips down below 1.0 and then it's up, as you say, 1.21 the now, but it's just fluctuating up and down a little bit. I tend to find the higher altitude I look at things, the better the guiding is. And it could be down to seeing. So the last time I did look out, the sky was looking very slightly murky compared to what it was earlier. I can start to see well, there's a bit of noticeable less stars in the sky than there was earlier, so it must be sort of higher up clouds. So it's no surprise if the guidance is going to go a little bit up and down. So we'll just keep an eye on the sky anyway, see what it does. If it clouds over, it clouds over. There's not much I can do about that, and we'll just need to maybe pack up earlier. See how it goes. Maybe come back to this object again. It was looking quite promising. Quite looking forward to stacking what I've got so far anyway, just to see how it's going to turn out. I'll need to take some more calibration frames as well. Need to do more flat frames. I've not done any this season yet. And I did have the camera on. Oh, I had everything on the telescope all stripped down during the summer to clean it all. I had some bad dust motes on the, I think it was actually on the field flattener and the corrector plate as well. But yeah, so I'm going to have to take more calibration frames. It's probably due to take more dark frames anyway, and I certainly need to take more flats since everything's been apart and reassembled. and that will get rid of the sort of starburst there on the left of the screen from the camera. Okay, one more exposure to go for red, and then that'll be us halfway through this sequence. Just keeping a close eye on the HFR as well, just in case I have to do an autofocus again, but so far it's not too bad. They're all much alike. I had some higher ones there, but that's because the autofocus was off slightly. And after doing another autofocus, it brought the HFRs back into the 5s again, which it was originally. There was just a slight issue with an autofocus run. Oh, dear me. I've usually got my webcam on as well, but I thought the amount of yawning I'm doing tonight, I'm just going to leave it switched off, or I'll just have to edit this video right down to cut out all the yawning. And then I thought when I'll do a live broadcast, I thought, oh, there's no point in just watching me yawn away. So I thought I'll just leave the webcam off tonight. Oh, jings. The off-axis guide is not picking up a huge amount of stars in this particular bit of the sky. Enough to guide, okay, but I mean there's plenty of stars in the image there, but it just so happens with where it's picking up from the off-axis guider, it's not an awful lot of stars to choose from this particular bit of sky. Generally I can always get enough stars. I think there was one galaxy, I can't remember what it was. There was just absolutely no stars at all in the field of view for the off-axis guider, and I had to. In fact, I think I just went to another target because I wasn't about to start rotating the OAG just to try and find a star, but it's only ever happened once. Generally, everything else that I've always done, there's always been plenty of stars to pick up on. I can't remember what that was now. It's gone back a little while. It's certainly a galaxy, because in a nebula, you're looking into the own galaxy and there's loads of stars. So it's definitely a galaxy looking into deep space. The temperature's starting to drop a bit, 4.75. What was it at the start of the night? I think it was in the 60s, to be honest, when we first started. Yeah. Started recording that. Say 9:10. It's at 8.5 degrees. Now it's at was that, 4 point something, 3.8. So yeah, it's actually dropped a good bit. In saying that, it spiked there actually. Yeah, 5. It's been steadily dropping all through the night. It does feel quite cold outside, and yeah, 3.8, quite cold. Everything else seems fine. There we go, halfway through. First one of green. Five two five. They're all pretty similar, which is fine. Consistency is absolutely fine. As you say, yeah, roughly an hour or so. We'll call it quits at that. Get packed up and I can get off to bed for a wee bit. You see, it's going to be the back of 3. Hopefully get me packed up for maybe half 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. Try and get a good 4 or 5 hours sleep and then get back up again. It's supposed to be a nice sunny day tomorrow, and it's the only good day of the weekend, so get a bit of work done on the roof of the observatory tomorrow. Get a bit more done, and then that leaves Sunday off, and then back to work on Monday. Ready to do it all again. But once the stacking process is 2 hours, if it's looking quite promising, it's something I'll definitely come back to and try and add a lot more data to it. So far, even on a single image, single exposure, it's actually looking quite promising. You can start to see just a lot of it almost looks like dust coming through. It'd be nice to see a bit of colour in here. If it's anything, well, it should be what's shown up in Stellarium. Zoom in a little bit. So yeah, what I'm seeing is this, I'm going to say dust. Yeah. It'd be nice to see the contrast between the blue and the reds and the oranges. Interesting. I forgot to have a look to see how far away it was. Was it something like 4,000 light years, something like that? It's HFR for green. 510. Even better. Not as much detail coming through. But it's just your typical greens, especially the blue. Well, maybe the blue might come on more with this because there's a lot of blue in it, but yeah. I tend to get more detail obviously with luminance and red. Still need to try and get myself some narrowband filters as well. I'm only just using the LRGB, but in time need to try and save up a little bit of money and do some narrowband imaging as well, and targets that are, or even do a combination. Something different to do rather than just always doing everything in broadband. It's just the price of everything there, it's just ridiculous. Not just for astronomy, just for everything. So yeah, trying to buy any new equipment in bits and pieces is just so hard now. Without getting the actual cheapest of the cheap things, just even trying to get middle of the road stuff. There's always money to spend on something else that's more needed than just luxuries like hobbies. So in time, it's taken a lot of years to build up all the bits of equipment to get to this stage. After getting the scope and then using a DSLR for a few years, and then moving on to a dedicated astro camera, which is the ZWO 294mm Pro. That's what I'm using. In fact, it's the only camera after my DSLR. It's got to be coming up, I'm going to say 4 years old now. This will be the 4th season I think I've used this 294. And yeah, over time, I used to use a guide scope, then I bought a Celestron off-axis guider, and I'm using a 174, a ZWO 174mm mini camera for the guide camera, and that combination works really well. It's got quite a big chip in the camera. It seems quite sensitive, and it's quite a big prism in the Celestron OAG. Although the OAG itself takes up a lot of space. It's quite a big chunky thing, but quite heavy. But it works really well. My guiding's been so much better after switching from a guide scope to an OAG. So much more consistent guiding. And yeah, just getting wee bits here and there and updating as I go along. But it's badder LRGB 31mm unmounted filters that I've got in my filter wheel. They were actually quite reasonable at the time when I got them. I think it was only like something like £200 for the full set, and to be honest, they've been really good. Obviously, narrowband filters are a lot more expensive. It's just nice to get a good clear night for a wee change and be able to just sit in the shed. Got the heater on beside me, it's nice and warm in here. Nice ambient lighting, although you can't see that because I've not got the camera on, but I do have another camera in this shed, and I can actually quickly show you the inside of the shed. So yeah, that's me, obviously sitting in the corner here. So yeah, not a bad little astro shed. It was a little potting shed when we moved into the house, and slowly but surely managed to revamp it a little bit, and yeah, a few coats of paint, and yeah, a bit of other work here and there, to be honest, to get it up to scratch. It was a bit of a sorry old shed at the time, but yeah, it's nice and cosy and warm and ideal for a little office for controlling all the computer and all the telescope and stuff. It's good that I can just look out the window as well, and the observatory's just there. It's not like it's miles away. For things like the night when I'd done a polar alignment, it was really easy to just look in the window at the computer screen, so there was no really too much back and forward in and out of the observatory, but it's right there, so I managed to get my polar alignment down to, I can't even remember now, it's not on video, but it was as close to perfect as I could probably get it. Probably more luck than anything else, but yeah, a couple of very small adjustments here and there, and I managed to get it. I can't even remember doesn't matter what the numbers were, but yeah, according to Nina's 3-point polar alignment, it was pretty much bang on perfect on RA and deck. And it has to be said, the guiding has been reasonably consistent all night. Guaranteed if I was looking at something a bit higher up in the sky, a bit more altitude, the guiding would be a lot better. It's usually like sub 1. And the lower down you go, there's a lot more seeing to go through, I suppose. More atmosphere. Doesn't guide so well, sort of lower down in the sky. So yeah, my hobby's come a long way in the last, because how long have I been doing this now? well, with this telescope anyway, and pretty much this setup, it's been, I'm going to say, certainly over 7 years. Yeah, before that it was really just more visual astronomy. But yeah, when I decided to go into astro imaging and stick a DSLR on the back of the scope and whatnot, yeah, it's really about 7 years ago I started that journey, and it's brought me to what I'm doing today. But yeah, just with the scope sitting on its tripod in the back garden, and me generally just sitting beside it on a deck chair, everything connected to a laptop and cables trailing, and me just sitting there freezing cold with blankets over me. Then I moved into the shed when it was still a potting shed and just had the laptop just sitting on the bench, and long USB cables going out the door and connected to the scope. No heating or nothing, door open all the time. It was absolutely freezing in here. And that was back before Nina or anything. I was just using the, what was it? I was using the, I can't remember what it was now. I was using a little bit of software that the DSLR, that the Canon DSLR came with, but it was so basic you wouldn't believe. It was just a case of taking single stills, and I think you could use the video feature with it as well, but it was so bad. Back then, still using the hand control and doing 3-star alignments and all that stuff, and it just took ages before the days of plate solving and all that. And now, because the scope's permanently mounted, don't have to do any of that. I just unpark it and then just plate solve my way to the targets I want to. There's no star alignments or any alignments whatsoever every night. It's just so much easier than what it used to be when I first started. I was using a guide scope, and then try to find the stars in the guide scope and then get them in the main scope and try and get them in the field of view and mess about, and it would take me longer to try and do the setup than anything else. Three-star alignments and whatnot, and polar alignments, and oh my goodness. I checked the polar alignment and adjusted it tonight, but I've not done it for ages. And I suppose since it was really the first imaging session after the holidays, I did have the scope off the mount during the summer to do work in the observatory, and so it did need a bit of adjustment, but generally all winter. Alright, excuse me. I may check it now and again, but most of the time I don't even bother. If the scope's not getting touched at all, or bumped or anything, if I've got a good polar alignment, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, it really is just a case of switching everything on now and then just going to a target and plate solve and just gets you bang on. So much easier. Yeah, how things have changed even in the last 7 years. And then you've got such great software for acquisition such as Nina or SGP. I used to use what did I used to use before Nina? I can't even remember what it's called now. God, memories went. But yeah, same idea. It's made life a lot easier, a lot more reliable as well. Used to have so many issues when I first started, between hardware problems, software problems, USB cable problems, things not set up properly on the control pad, and it just seemed to be so much messing about every single time I was out. And then I did actually have some technical issues with the mount as well, and just done so much troubleshooting earlier on. Well, And yeah, so fingers crossed, everything's been going really smoothly for the last couple of, well, certainly more than the last couple, maybe the last 3 or 4 seasons. The first couple of seasons was just really big learning curve to do everything, and but really since I've got the observatory built and everything's permanently mounted, and once you get everything working as it should and you don't have to touch things and constantly keep pulling out USB cables and whatnot, it's made a big difference. And say the advent of sort of more modern software for acquisition seems to be a lot more reliable than things used to be. It was almost like a virtual hand controller that I was using for Celestron back in the day. And when I think it now, it was so poor, but it seemed great at the time. Yeah, it was like a virtual control pad. I remember having to mess about with COM ports and everything. It's like, really? And serial ports and all sorts of stuff. Well, we're getting through the green as well. We're on the 5th exposure, then one more to go, and then it's just onto the blue, and that will be us. The time's passed really quick. 27 minutes past 2 already. Jeez. That last hour and a half has just flown by. And considering I've been out here since, well, 9 o'clock. 5.5 hours already sitting in the shed. Doesn't seem like it, but I'm yawning away, I'm getting sleepy now. But yeah, it's went in pretty quick. It's been quite an interesting night. Getting a couple of different objects to look at rather than just focusing on the same thing like all night long. It's been quite good actually looking for something else. Didn't even really know too much about this. I was just skipping through Stellarium, just looking through the sky, looking for something that was in a reasonable place in the sky that I could image for a few hours when the Embryo came up. I was nearly going to do the Triangulum Galaxy again because it looked like it was in quite a good place, but I've imaged that a few times now, and it was really just going to be another few hours of adding more data to try and get a really good image of it. But I quite like I was really hoping to do more nebula stuff because I mean it's not like galaxy season yet. I'll wait till sort of back end of February, March next year and do more galaxies then, so quite keen to just focus more on nebula this time of year. I was half thinking about the California Nebula, but it's absolutely massive for the field of view that I've got in this scope anyway. I'd only be getting a tiny little bit in. The other one I was thinking about was the Northern Trifid Nebula, but it just didn't look quite as colourful as this. I've imaged the Pleiades, I've got a really good image for just a couple hours. I'll keep going the wrong way. Still got a bit before it goes over the meridian. Not really, I had it on pause without realising. I was going to say, it looks awfully far away from the meridian. I'm sure it should have been closer than that. Yeah, I forgot I'd paused it ages ago. So yes, we're getting close to it being the highest in the sky before it starts to dip down a little bit. There's lots of other little planetary nebulas about, but they're so small. I suppose most planetary nebula are quite small. Planetary just numbers. Someday, look at the more smaller objects. It's been a good night for it, I suppose, as well. No moon tonight. Well, there is a moon, but it's below my horizon, so it's a no moon night for me anyway. So it would be the ideal time to do these real small, dimmer objects. But to be honest, I really didn't think I was going to get as much time tonight. I know the forecast was saying a clear sky, but I wasn't overly trusting it. Usually up here, where I am, the weather's that fickle. I'm quite close to a lot of high mountains and it catches the clouds, and yeah, it's usually patchy clear skies. But we've done not too badly tonight. Right, the last green one to come through. Another satellite trail. It's not been too bad for satellites this bit of the sky. I think that's possibly only 2 I've had tonight, which isn't too bad. I'll just sit back and be quiet for a little bit and listen to the music, I think. First blue exposure about to come in. If anything's going to be focus, it's going to be blue, isn't it? Yeah. HFR is quite low actually. Let's have a look a bit closer in. You know what? The stars aren't too bad for being round. We'll just leave it at that. On the last frame, I'm going to call it a night. I'm really just sitting here falling asleep. Really need to be going to bed. So I think I shall just wind this broadcast up for the night once it finishes this frame. But thanks for everyone that's been watching. It's been a good night. Got a wee bit done. So yeah, once this last image comes in, we'll warm the camera, and I'll get the mount part, yep, and get the roof closed over, and that'll be me. Nice. Right. Warm the camera. And I shall stop this broadcast as well. Well, for myself and the 5 cats, good night everyone, and thanks for tuning in. And I shall just stop this broadcast now, because I'm just going to be out and about shutting everything up. Bye for now.